Jelena Ostapenko breaks silence. Taylor Townsend uneducated comment sparks controversy. Former six-time Grand Slam doubles winner Rennie Stubbs declared Jelena Ostapenko's uneducated comment directed at Taylor Townsend coded, and highlighted it wasn't the proper use of words even if the Latvian meant it the way she later claimed. After Ostapenko confronted Townsend in a very tense way following a 5-7-1-6 loss in the US Open second round, it went from bad to worse for the Latvian after it was revealed that she told her she had no education and no class. Since Townsend is a black American player, it didn't take long before the 2017 French Open champion started receiving racist accusations. For 2 days, the 28-year-old was receiving constant backlash, not only from the public and the media, but also from some of her colleagues, who called out her behavior. The former world number 5 responded by issuing a message on her Instagram story, in which she directly apologized and added, "I was speaking only about what I believe is tennis etiquette, but I understand how the words I used could have offended many people beyond the tennis court." Stubbs weighs in on Ostapenko calling Townsend uneducated. "Look, I'm not going to sit here as a white woman and try to describe what it must feel like and pretend that I have any idea, but that word of saying you're uneducated really feels coded." Whether Ostapenko meant it that way, because she was talking about tennis etiquette, the Australian tennis legend said on the Rennie Stubbs tennis podcast. Ostapenko had an issue with Townsend warming up at the net, and apparently not apologizing over a net cord. Stubbs noted that everyone knows the American starts her warm-up by instantly going to the net, and that the American didn't win the point in question directly via a net cord, but after hitting a winner. So saying it's uneducated because it's not a tennis educated or tennis etiquette thing. You can't move around that. This is dumb, Stubbs added. During their second-round match at the 2025 US Open, Taylor Townsend triumphed over Jelena Ostapenko with a score of 7-5, 6-1. What should have been a professional handshake instead ignited into a fiery confrontation. Ostapenko accused Townsend of lacking education and having no class. Complaints rooted in tennis etiquette, she claimed, prompting boos from the crowd and capturing international attention. From etiquette to accusations of racism, Ostapenko justified her words by pointing to tennis norms. Townsend had failed to apologize for a net cord, a gesture deemed customary, and allegedly warmed up improperly near the net, especially the uneducated part, as racially charged, responded with astonishment during her post-match interview. "Some people say bad things. She told me I have no class, I have no education, and to see what happens when we get outside the U.S. The backlash was swift and intense. Naomi Osaka condemned the remarks as one of the worst things you can say to a black tennis player in a majority white sport, underscoring Townsend's intelligence and hard work. Coco Gauff and even Venus Williams showed solidarity with Townsend, bolstering calls for fairness and respect. On social media and in broadcast commentary, some critics questioned the validity of Ostapenko's lost in translation defense given her proficiency in English. A few days later, Ostapenko took to Instagram with a message of apology. "Hi all, I wanted to apologize for some of the things I said during my second-round singles match. English is not my native language, so when I said education, I was speaking only about what I believe is tennis etiquette. I understand how the words I used could have offended many people beyond the tennis court. I appreciate the support as I continue to learn and grow as a person and a tennis player. Goodbye, New York, and I look forward to being back next year." Townsend didn't dwell on the apology. She focused on her game and progress in doubles at the US Open, brushing off the incident as she continued performing strongly. Meanwhile, her post-match momentum carried her to a dramatic round of 16 appearance, though she later fell in a heart-wrenching loss to Barbara Krejcikova after missing multiple match points. This wasn't just a tennis spat. It became a flashpoint in discussions about racial undertones in sports and how loaded phrases can reverberate beyond the court. Responsibility of athletes in public discourse, especially when their words risk reinforcing stereotypes. The power of grace under fire, as Townsend stood her ground with dignity. The importance of clarity and cultural awareness in language, especially in global sports. Imagine this as a modern-day fable. A fierce match becomes a crossroads, where unscripted words carry unintended weight. Ostapenko's expressions, uneducated, no class, become less about etiquette and more about global optics. Townsend, emblematic of grace under pressure, transforms controversy into empowerment. Onlookers, from Osaka to Gauff, serve as moral barometers. In the end, The story isn't just about winning or losing, it's about what we say, how it lands, and how we carry ourselves when the world listens. What Ostapenko said ignited a profound conversation, far bigger than a point or a match. Townsend's resilience and refusal to be silenced became an inspiration. In this arena, etiquette, language, and equity intertwined, reminding us that every word, tennis court or not, carries weight. As the late summer sun drenched Flushing Meadows, the electricity in the air hinted at more than pure athletic contest. Something was brewing. On August 27, 2025, under the glaring lights of Court 11, Taylor Townsend, a resolute American firebrand, unleashed a rally that rattled the scoreboard. 7-5, 6-1 over Jelena Ostapenko, the 2017 French Open champion, but this was no ordinary finish. 2. A handshake that ignites. A traditional handshake turned into an explosion of emotion. Ostapenko, visibly agitated, pointed a finger at Townsend and demanded an apology for a net court shot, an unwritten gesture of sportsmanship in tennis. When Townsend refused, Ostapenko's fury boiled over. No class. No education. The crowd recoiled, and the comment echoed far beyond the court. 3. Underlying tensions and unspoken rules. At the heart of the dispute lay the clash between etiquette and empowerment. Townsend had warmed up at the net, a tactic she routinely employed, sidestepping traditional protocols. Ostapenko bristled at what she saw as disrespect, amplified in the moment of defeat. Townsend, in her post-match press conference, addressed the bob with poise. She took offense not only at the words but at the assumption behind them. If I show respect to you, I expect respect as well. I let my racket talk. Though Townsend didn't interpret the comments as racist personally, she acknowledged the painful history of such stereotypes in her community. 4. The tornado of response. The fallout was swift. Naomi Osaka declared it one of the worst things you can say to a black tennis player in a majority white sport. Coco Gauff, Venus Williams, and others rallied behind Townsend, celebrating her grace and focus amid turmoil. Meanwhile, Ostapenko used Instagram to justify her words, citing language barriers and cultural confusion. But instead of quelling criticism, her defense fueled it 3 days later, on August 30, 2025. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share.